Hey everybody, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Coach Jason, 25-year pitching coach at the collegiate and high school level. Currently, I'm with Calvary University in Kansas City, Missouri. This is free video analysis, something I do for the community, where you send me a horizontal video and I take a look at your son's pitching mechanics or your pitching mechanics, and we do a review and see if I can't help you somewhere and help you get a little bit better out there. So this has been going pretty well. I've been excited doing this over the last couple of months. The response has been really good, and I thank you guys for all the support of the channel and me and this work that I'm doing for the baseball community. And yeah, I mean it's been a journey. And do you ever have one of those days where you wake up and you just feel older? I'm having that day today. I don't know if you ever experienced that, but for some reason, the older, the years go on, and I don't know if the body just says, you're running out of juice or energy or something, but just lately I don't know, I'm just rambling about myself, but if you're experiencing that too, let me know in the comments section. But just kind of something funny. I was like, man, I just feel really old today. Well, coach, you are really old, you know what I mean? So yeah, just something to laugh off a little bit. But 10 years old, from New York. I love that. I've worked with a couple of guys in New York before. Awesome people to work with, very cordial, very adamant baseball people, very good baseball people, and they are very passionate about the game and trying to get it right. So hopefully I can add some insight to that today. All right, Tommy, let's take a look at you, buddy. All right, Tommy is, I'm going to, gosh, this goes back to my old point. Look, we're going to look at a few different things here. We'll look at his set stance. We're going to look at his balance and posture, critique that a little bit. We're going to look at his load point, which is the leg lift, and posture with that. And then we're going to look at the low balance break component, which I've added in. It's not really, I don't have it written in, but that's something we're going to look at. And then we're going to look at the stride and separation and direction. Then we're going to look at his arm action with the timing of the sequence of the stride. Then we'll look at, glove hand as well. We'll look at the landing point, the energy transfer. I call it the transition phase, but really it's transferring the energy or bridging the energy from the lower half through the upper half. And then we'll look at the throw, finish, and follow through. Okay, so we'll keep it pretty cut and dry. Sometimes I go in a deeper dive on some things, but that's just, me trying to do the best job that I can for free to you guys. Also, please hit the like button for me, as it helps promote the video out to more people and shows engagement on the channel. So the like button does actually matter, okay? And then if you're new to the channel and you like me or you like the work that I'm doing in promoting young athletes or high school athletes, just depends on whoever sends me a video. If you enjoy this work and you want to support me and follow along, then hit subscribe and for more pitching content. I've been shooting some different stuff and education with baseball pitching as it relates to some of the things that I do at the collegiate level, and as I run the training program, arm pitching development. I also share some of the insights to our training methodology in those as well. So you'll be able to see a lot of different material on the channel, and I am happy to try to point you in the right direction if you need to. If you want to send a video in, send a horizontal video to the email address in the video, and I don't need slow motion, and I don't just try to make it as clear as possible. This is a great video to work with right here. So thank you for sending this in the manner that you did. So anyways, okay, enough with the formalities. Let's dive into Tommy. He's anxious. He's tired of listening to Coach talk about him or about himself, right? But what would the world be if I wasn't a character on this? It'd be really cut and dry. Like, oh, let's just look at pitching mechanics. It'd be kind of boring, So I got to add a little bit of flavor. That's baseball, right? We're all in this together. We're all a community. So I'm happy to meet you, Tommy. All right, buddy, let's get this. All right, so set stance. I will provide some pictures at the highest level. These are major leaguers. Listen, I don't expect 10-year-olds to pitch like major leaguers. That's not why I put this up there. One, I put it up there for engagement, and then also to stimulate your brain to see what it looks like at the highest level, and how can you work, and how far. No, wait, that's not the right thing. Damn it. What do you want it to look like at the end of the day? Okay. And so you'll work to get into those positions to become better, right? Work into those positions. All right. Anyways, we get it. Tommy, I'm sorry, man. All right. Hopefully you're laughing with me. All right, Tommy, set stance. I'm going to say that this to me is a little pinched. Okay. I go back to the point where I say shoulder width apart. Okay, and then what I do is I load my back hip, and I bend my back leg here about. So I say make the gathering point, the load point comfortable on your back hip. You don't want it overdrawn or anything like that. It's just set your weight back. So when we load up, we can be in a stronger, balanced position, and then drive forward from. So if we could open up the set stance to about here, and then push the weight to the backside. Hang on, I need a timeout. I may or may not cut that out. Okay. So setting the shoulders back, and then I would invert this shoulder just a little bit here, turn it in, and then on the hand positioning, let's bring the glove to about here. That's the wrong one. Let's bring the glove back to about here, and let's make these elbows relaxed. Okay, so it'll be like relaxed here and here, and then this will be here and here, connecting the glove hand. So we'll turn it in. Example. So it'd be like, I mean, this is fine, right? But let's say like here, but our elbows are going to be nice and relaxed, and I want to turn the shoulder in just a little bit. So when we separate and break out of this, we're going to be up into an internally driven position here. Okay, something to work on. Okay, eyes are ready to go. See this shoulder? It's like going to these people over here. So maybe that's a little dramatic, but that's what I see from the video. Good, and maybe good. Might try to offset or even out the front toe here. So if I'm drawing a straight line down, bring this foot, over to set. And I know this is like, hey, a quick pitch, let's shoot it for coach real quick. But anyways, just for formalities, that's the way I would drive the set stance from the stretch position. Okay. All right, let's look at the load point. Okay, so he did kind of calm right there. I still think it's a little open. All right, so let's go into leg kick. All right. There is, okay. He's handling it pretty good. Load height sitting at around 50%. Good with that. Tommy, I'm actually good with this leg lift. Okay, this is actually not bad. I argue to let's bring the shoulder in. Okay, so I know we're going to bring it in this way. So we're going to bring your shoulder in just a little bit more. And we're going to bring the hands back just a little bit more instead of over your front knee here. Let's bring them back here just a little bit right now. And I'm going to show you why as we go through the video. And I feel like it has to do with your arm latency. So one thing of note, there is some, asked about throwing velocities at 10 years old. Mechanics do play a large part in throwing velocities, okay? And we're going to get into that. And there's some leaks that you have that you'll be able to fix. That will help you throw the ball a little bit harder this year, okay, buddy? So anyways, going in, we're getting off now. We're going to go into the low balance break position. So see how that glove is floating forward to break his hands? I don't think that's necessary. What I want to do is go ahead and lead the hip down. Let's leave these hands back here and let this hip ride down like that. Okay, this back load point may or may not be enough or not. I'm not that worried about it right now at 10 years old. I'm more interested in the a base of this, like, are we being healthy while we're pitching? And I don't really care about how strong we are at this point. It's more about getting the techniques right at 10 years old and then growing to get stronger. So I want to change the glove hand to back here. All right. And then we'll go down a little bit further. Okay. This is our hand break. So I want to break the hands sharper a little and bring the elbows upward a little bit. Okay. Again, that would look like this. So if I'm back and I want to break my hands up and elbows up a little bit sharper here. And right now what's happening is the hands are pushing away from the body, right? So we're bringing them away like this, swinging away. So it's like casting away from our body, and then we're swinging our arms into position. This is a velocity loss, right? It can be. I think every athlete is a little bit different in their approach and styles and uniqueness. So you have to appreciate the individual for just that, their individuality. So I don't like everything in a box, right? It's got to be one way. It's not that, but this is guidance, right? This is the way I see pitching. Okay. Another thing of note here, the knee, on the knee, try to think of it of being a vertical shin as best you can, and then keeping this knee back as we go into separation to be a little bit stronger in this back hip. We'll get to that point. But if you see the knee floating forward at this angle, going towards the camera here, okay, and then all that energy is going forward towards the camera versus going out towards the target, that's going to be a little bit of a problem, right? So we want to try to be as strong as you can, keeping that shin straight as you can, and then going hinge to forward. All right. And then on separation and stride. So the timing of this, so see how long the arms are right here? You're separating your arms way faster and more than your lower half. And the timing of it should be together, right? We should separate the lower half and the upper half together at this point at 10 years old. I do teach guys, depending on how old they are and how much they can handle, sometimes a latent break. So we'll delay the hand break a little bit on their pitching approach, but for 10 years old, it's not necessary, right? We can get to that later. Okay, back hip hinge. Again, I wonder if the knee's not floating forward just a little bit. And then if I could invert this hip to where it's like this, but we're not so anxious to open up or swing our hip into position. And then I do want to call out a note here, Tommy, where you're losing velocity by turning up the ball here. And then I understand that young athletes have smaller hands, okay? If the best you can is to get your thumb to split your fingers here, and if you're off to the side, the thumb acts as a locking mechanism. Okay, and what we want to do is unlock from the bottom here down, and then pronate through the finish line fairly naturally. Okay, I don't want it to be forced. We just want it to happen naturally and gradually. If we're off to the side, okay, going back to my lock point, if our thumb's off to the side, our tendency is going to be what, guys? Turn open like this to unlock the ball. So now we're throwing sliders or cutters or whatever we're throwing other than fastballs. We're throwing something with spin on it here this way. It's more supinated. Okay. What this does is puts tension in your elbow. Okay, and then drives through. This done over time will present a fairly significant problem. Okay, so this goes back to my point of breaking with the elbows upward to get into your arm spiral here in a stronger position, not swinging out into position here. Okay, listen, at 10 years old, and I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but growth plates are wide open. Okay, 10, 11, 12, even 13s, all these growth plates are wide open. And the strength level has to match a little bit of what their bones, how strong their bones are. Okay, I've seen kids that train and get really strong at throw, or they throw a lot and they've gotten really strong and have torn or broken their growth plate in their elbow from overuse and overtraining and getting stronger than what the bones could handle. Okay, and I'm not trying to scare you guys out there or anything, but this stuff is real. So what I'm saying to you is, let's work on the proper technique and be aware that that elbow joint is really loose and limber. I mean, most of his joints are probably pretty loose because they're growing and stretching. Okay, so let's be mindful of that a little bit, and let's fix this to break the elbows up here to get to this point, right? And this can stay in long. I don't mind that. Okay. All right, let's carry on from there. Stride. We're going to fix that front leg, right, Tommy? Okay. See how he's turned the elbow up already, right here. Okay. And the ball is kind of in a side manner like that, right? Okay, so we want to fix that. Let's bring it up on top here. A little bit better, buddy. Okay, that'll help you throw the ball harder. Okay, get more strikeouts maybe. Okay, the separation, this is more of like a T. I'm not a fan of inverted W or anything like that. I just like to promote upward arm spiral, almost like a C here, and then throw through. So something to work on from that point. Okay, and then as we approach, okay, let's keep going. So see how this arm angle is really early. It's good separation in the scapular setting. I mean, I think that's good range here. I like that. The ball does seem to be in maybe a better position, right? We'll take a look at it, but I still think I want to change that approach. This glove hand seems to be going away towards the orange box over here now, so something to be cautious about is keeping this elbow in a little bit tighter on to the landing point, to the separation from your hips and shoulders. Once we get there, we'll cover that a little bit. Yeah, this back hip looks okay. So good job, Tommy. Still looking at the target. Good focus. Okay, so there goes the glove hand, right? So now this is going to be tension in the elbow. This is energy loss, guys. Okay, I just did a video not too long ago of passive glove hand, right? This is 101, passive glove hand 101, all right? So it's very long and drawn down, okay, no strength, instead of up and driving in. Again, if you're not familiar with my philosophy on glove hand etiquette, what I like to say is I lift the catcher up with your thumb and then bring him back into your chest, something like this. And then we're going to keep the elbow into your side here. And then we're never dropping the hands lower than the elbow joint. We can come in, but we don't go necessarily lower. This is just maybe a technique that I like for about 10 years old. Okay. And if you have another opinion on that, then feel free to share that in the comments. Right now, I'm sticking to my guns on that approach. Okay. And then there's it in terms of energy leaks. Okay. We want to stay up and in better here with the glove hand. And then when we land the front foot, then we kind of unwind the machine. Okay. So think of a wind up toy. When we're looking up before we land, we're kind of inside here, wind it up, stretching out the pec this way, and then once we land, we unwind and then throw. So that's, again, going back to your velocity points. That would be a velocity loss here at this moment. Okay. All right. So go to down to touchdown. Okay. I'm going to cover the stride length at the end. If I don't, that's going to be a problem. So this is gone now. All right. This is out of the picture. Now it becomes an all arm. This is an all arm throw, right? I want to see this hip clear. I want to see this hip clear forward. Not now. It can be now, but what I want to see is the hip lead the shoulder. Okay, that hip fires, and then that brings the shoulder through. So you're a little bit early here. The shoulder here, in this case, guys, the shoulder is leading the hip through, is what it looks like to me, because I want to see this back foot rotate around like this. I want to see that clear, right? This clears, the hip clears, and then the shoulder clears. Got it? All right. Let's see how it goes. Okay, so all we've done is just lift our foot up off. So this is an all arm throw, right? This is a velocity loss. We've let all our energy go, and now we're asking the arm just to do the best it can from a 10-year-old's perspective of throwing a ball. Okay, so Tommy, there's something to work on. Okay, buddy. And then right here, right, so it goes back to being, I would work on pivoting that back foot a little bit. I have some drills. I'll try to put them in this video or link them into the video a little bit, but let's turn that back hip and then fire the arm through. Okay, this part looks all right at the moment. What I want to do is, we go talk about release height a little bit, but okay, so right, it's just a very pushy arm throw, buddy, at the moment, and that's why you're not throwing very hard. I think the release point in terms of getting out front of your front foot seems to be okay. All right, but we want to maybe try to square this or block that a little bit stronger. I'm not overly concerned at 10 years old. Let's try to drive the shoulders inward this way. So we're going to go corkscrew in and then bring the back hip over to follow through, right? Or land in a centered position, a little more grammatical. Okay, staying behind the ball better and longer through the pitch. By towing the rubber longer, it will help you get into that position a little bit easier. Okay, so let's clear those markers off. The thumb is going into pronation, which is good. Okay, so see how he's getting there, and he's come up over, but this hip is actually going this way, like it's leaning like this, to throw, and he's doing a heck of a job trying to stay eyes on and centered. So he's his concentration, his focus. He's trying to get there, but it's a strength thing right now, guys. So that's why we practice in specific modes of pitching, to build strength over time. And as we fall into those positions, then we feel more comfortable with them. All right. So, and then the follow through. Yeah, it's not bad. It's a little bit long. I get it. Like, you're really trying to get all your energy through, up and over. I say maybe for you, Tommy, we take a little bit calmer approach instead of bringing the backside all the way over and around, which I don't care at the moment about it. But I think if you just stay behind the ball better and land a little bit better squared up with the target, I think that will help with your accuracy, and it will help with your velocities as well. Okay, at the moment. And then as you grow, then let's grow into making this a little bit bigger over time. I did want to go back to this. Yeah, I just think there's a lot of stress in the elbow and the shoulder right now throwing this ball. And a lot of it has to do giving up the ground and the timing of the break line, the timing and how we're approaching this throw. So it's more of a slingshot or like a catapult, like whack. Listen, I used to throw like this, Tommy, so you're not the only one, okay, buddy? No, nobody told me in Little League how to throw a baseball. I was just born with a decent arm, and then was told to use it a lot. Okay, it wasn't until I got older that I actually learned how to pitch a baseball and learn technique and stuff. So through college, the fact that this stuff is out here as a resource is amazing. If I had YouTube when I was Tommy's age, boy, I wouldn't be doing this anymore for a living, right? I would be a millionaire. But the case is I don't have YouTube. So anyways, use this information to the best of your ability. Work and train, find some drills. Let's get these drills done. If you need another, maybe find a private coach that knows what they're doing, and can help you formalize this a little bit. If you don't, if you're not able to do that, there's tons of drills on the channel. Work on the drills, work on the pitching. I need to go back to stride length real quick before I forget. Dang it. All right, I'm going to go all the way back to height here. Boom, boom, boom. Let's grab stride, because we want to know if the stride is too much or too little. Okay, so if there would be, that's my measurement, right? So this would be 100% of height as best I don't have the tool that gives me like the percentages, so I just do it this way. But so if his stride length is all the way out there, that's probably a little bit too far. So here's my thought on this, Tommy. Let's shorten the stride length a little bit, make this a little bit easier on you. Maybe by like 6 inches, 4 inches, something like that. Let's shorten it. Let's see if we can't hang on and turn that back hip a little bit easier for you. And then throw. Sometimes overstriding like this at 100% at an age where they can't really handle the strength of the position can cause some deficiencies.